Hi, hope you had a great day. You're watching JG Entertainment, and for this video, I'm going over Puss in the Boots: The Last Wish opening weekend box office, telling you whether to flop or hit just off the gate, and telling you my predictions for how much it's going to make overall, and it's going to be a breakdown of the word of mouth and all that type of stuff. I'm just going to be a full-on breakdown of this opening weekend and its box office. So yeah, if you're interested, then just make sure to watch the whole video, because I'm pretty sure you're going to enjoy all the analysis that I have for you in this video. So yeah, let's get started. And the way we're going to get started is by its domestic opening, which means only the US and Canada, and the domestic opening for this movie was at $12.4 million for its 3-day opening weekend. Now, what do I mean by 3-day? Why do I have to specify 3-day? Well, because this was a holiday weekend with Christmas and everything. For the 3-day, I mean from Friday to Sunday. So just those 3 days, the regular weekend, it made $12.4 million. So this isn't a huge opening weekend. In fact, it's actually pretty small. But it's not like something that I would call terrible. This isn't like, oh, that's just so bad. But it's definitely not great. I'll tell you that much. It's not that great. However, for its 4-day opening weekend, and the reason why it's 4 days is that since it was Christmas on Sunday, they decided to make Monday a holiday. So the 4-day opening weekend includes Monday, and for its 4-day opening weekend, it made $20 million, which means that it made $7.6 million on Monday, which was its biggest day yet for the box office, which is really good, really good. So that means that the audience has been growing day to day to day. Because this past Monday, which was yesterday, it was the biggest day for this movie. So yeah, that's really awesome. That definitely means the word of mouth is really hitting it, and I'm gonna be going over that a little bit more later in the video. Now, for its 6-day opening, which means since the day it opened on Wednesday to Monday, it has made $26.1 million. So that's not great. Like I said, that's not really great. And that really shows how weak the first 2 days were, Wednesday and Thursday. They were really weak into the weekend where it really started to get some traction. And then this past Monday, where it really just blew up and really made its biggest day yet. So yeah, that gives me hope. But off the gate, it was not that strong. Luckily, it has been growing the audience, which is really, really awesome. Now, the original Puss in the Boots 1 opened with $34 million. So that's almost like triple what this movie opened with. Almost, not quite, but almost triple, which means that this movie definitely went down by a lot, which is really interesting. Sure, we're in different circumstances and we're in a very different box office way and everything, but that definitely does show a little bit of decline, which is really interesting. I think part of that might be that just the first one wasn't that good, so people that saw the first one aren't that interested into the second one. That could very much be it. And for other comparison's sake, Sing 2, which opened last year in the exact same window, opened higher with 22.3 million, which means that it opened with like around 10 million more, which is really interesting. So that definitely, you can see the comparison here, and that's not very great. That can definitely tell that this movie isn't overperforming at all, or nothing. It's not doing, I wouldn't call it good. I wouldn't say it's doing terrible either. I would say just below average. I do think it's doing below average, but I wouldn't say this is like a terrible box office. Maybe I would call it bad. I'm not exactly sure. Why am I saying this? Well, because on the bright side, the movie multiplied its box office almost 6 times from Wednesday to Sunday, meaning the word of mouth has boosted the movie across the weekend, even more than Sing 2. Sing 2 multiplied its box office from the Wednesday that it came out to Sunday it came out by 5 times, but this movie did it by almost 6 times. So that's insane. That definitely shows that this movie really has been getting that audience as the movie goes on. Now, like I mentioned, this is thanks to the word of mouth that this movie got. What am I talking about when I mean word of mouth? Word of mouth means what the audience is saying about this movie. And the audience is giving this really positive reviews. What I mean that? Well, for starters, the movie got an A cinema score. An A cinema score is insane. For you to get an A cinema score, that means that you're at the very top of the league. It's not as big as A+, but A is like super, super good. That's what most movies have audiences really love. Stand at A. A is like the really good stuff. So if you're an A cinema score, then that means the audience absolutely loved your movie, and that's really good. That means this is just a really great sign for Puss in the Boots: Last Wish. Then on the critic side, for Rotten Tomatoes, the critics and the Rotten Tomatoes score right now stands at 97%. 97%. That is huge. It might go down. It might go up a little bit. I'm not exactly sure because the movie is still brand new, but it's still gonna stay in the 90s. Possibly like between 95 and 98, 99. That was probably where it's going to stay, which is super high. That's really high, really showing you that the critics are definitely behind this movie, and the audiences too, because the RT score from the audience side is at 95%, which is huge. That is a really positive audience score, which is great. That means that basically the critics and the audience are all in agreement that this movie is really awesome. And so yeah, it definitely seems like the word of mouth is insane. From people who have seen it, for people that have seen it, I've heard that it's amazing. I really want to go see it because of those reviews. In fact, I've heard people say that it's almost at the level of Spider-Verse. I heard people say that it's as good as Shrek 2. I heard people say that it's better than Shrek 2. I mean, the word of mouth for this movie is just going insane. It really just shows you how this movie has really managed to capture the audience and really managed to show an amazing animated movie, which is great because so far, like from the big studios, we have been getting really decent animated movies. Lightyear was fine. Turning Red, at least to me, I wasn't a big fan of it, to be honest. So for us to finally get a really awesome movie, it's amazing. And Strange World definitely wasn't it either. So this is just an awesome sign, and I really can't wait to see it. Have you seen it yet? If you have, tell me what you think about it in the comments. I'm very, very curious. Now, let's go on to its international box office. And what's the international box office for this movie? Well, the movie has already started rolling out in several countries throughout the weekends and the weeks, so it had already started getting a little bit of money, but now it finally opened in most of its audiences, and the movie has racked up to this point, $32.5 million internationally, which is pretty good. It's not awesome either. It's basically how I feel about the US or the domestic box office, where it's not great or nothing, but it's not terrible. I think it's just on the a little bit below average side, which really sucks that it's a little bit below average because of the word of mouth I've heard for this movie. But hopefully that word of mouth can really, really boost up the box office, because I think there is a high chance. Now let's go over its total box office. And the total box office for this movie right now currently stands at $58.7 million. So once again, just repeating on circles, basically, it's below average, not great, but not terrible, below average, which really sucks, but it's not a terrible opening at all. Some experts estimate that this movie will end its domestic run at around $85 million and its worldwide box office to a $200 million place. Maybe a little bit under, maybe a little bit over, but around $200 million. So it's doing okay, honestly. It's not doing great. That's the final estimation for this movie is not awesome. Luckily, the budget for this movie was actually pretty low. It was at $90 million, which means that this movie is not that expensive. $90 million is pretty cheap. In fact, this means that this sequel was $40 million cheaper than the first one, which is great. The fact that it got cheaper is great because it does not need to even out to those numbers to be able to make its money back, which is great. I definitely think that it has a chance to make its money back. If it gets to $200 million, it would definitely break even, but I do think that it needs a little bit more to actually start making some nice profit. So we'll see, but I definitely think it has a chance to make profit. Why do I say that? Well, because I think that this movie is playing the long game. What do I mean by the long game? Well, for starters, there's not going to be any new animated movie until April 7th with the Mario movie or any big animated blockbuster movie. So which means that this movie has this whole time, a whole 4 months. I don't know if it's going to be exclusive to theater for 4 months, but at least a whole 4 months where it's going to be in theaters, where it's going to be the only blockbuster animated movie. So that definitely is going to give it a lot of time to get a bunch of box office and everything, especially for kids that want to go see an animated movie and they're like, oh, what's our only option? Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, or let's go see it. That can definitely boost it by a lot. The other thing is that there's no other big film opening into February 17 with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which is just insane. That's really, really insane. That means that it has another 2-3 months without any other big blockbuster. Same thing goes for Avatar. So far, it's only Avatar and The Last Wish, basically getting this whole 2-3 months to itself, which is really, really awesome. This definitely is really good for these 2 blockbusters that are going towards the family audience. I think that it's going to be really well for just their whole weekend to weekend. Then, continuing, next weekend is also New Year's, which is also a holiday, just like this past weekend, in which many places are closed. So, many people that want to go to certain places is going to be closed. So the one place that doesn't close for sure is movie theaters. So maybe they're going to be like, hey, let's go here on the movie theaters. Similar to what just happened this past weekend, where movies got a huge boost throughout the whole weekend and even on Monday. Same thing could happen with this upcoming weekend, which would be really awesome. It would hold really well, especially since next Monday is also a holiday. So that's just really awesome. So we'll see how that ends up affecting the movie. In fact, if for more comparison's sake, last year, whenever Sing 2 opened and it had a second weekend on New Year's, just like this time around, it only had a 9.7% drop for its second weekend, which is just insane. The fact that it only had a 9.7% drop from its opening weekend to the second weekend, thanks to the holiday weekend, is really, really awesome. Even despite the fact that No Way Home was also going on while Sing 2 was going on. So it's very similar situations now with Avatar and Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and I definitely think that Puss in Boots can actually hold better than Sing 2, just because I've heard better things about Puss in Boots, like a lot stronger word of mouth than I heard about Sing, and because I think that it's just I don't think Avatar: The Last Wish, Avatar: The Way of the Water is as big as No Way Home, or at least as like fan favorite as No Way Home. I do think Avatar 2 is pretty big, as you can see by the box office numbers, and I will be doing another video about that. But it still doesn't seem as big as No Way Home, which is why I think Puss in the Boots can actually hold better than Sing 2, which would be awesome. If it can hold anything better than 9%, I mean, that would be insane. That would be super good for this movie. Besides that, this week kids are also on winter break, so that could be a huge box office boost for this family film, similar to Sing 2 last year, where Sing 2 held really well, doing more money on its dailies for this week than it did on the weekend, on its opening weekend. So that could very much be the case for Puss in the Boots, where it's going to do so much money on the weekdays that it's going to be bigger than what it actually did during the weekend. I could definitely see that, especially with the word of mouth of this movie, and obviously kids are on break, and it's a perfect combination, which I really think that it's a really good release date for this movie, and I think it's really going to help out the movie a lot. So yeah, as you can see, this movie is playing the long game, and I really do think that it can be expectations and maybe even reach 100 million domestically. I am being optimistic here, but with the word of mouth that I've heard about this movie and everything, I think this movie could really do it, especially with no other animated film hitting into April with Mario. I mean, this movie basically has it done. I mean, come on, I definitely think this movie has a very high chance of doing really nice box office numbers, as it's going to hold really well, but we're going to end up seeing that. But I am really hopeful for this movie, and I'm rooting it for the best. So yeah, really rooting for it. So, is it a flop? Not as I cannot consider it a flop yet until we see more of the second weekend and so on and so on. But as of right now, it's not doing great. I wouldn't call it a box office hit either. So we'll see. We really have to wait and see how the weekends go on. But so far, I'm skeptical about this movie. But it has really, really high hopes with its word of mouth and the holds that it could possibly hold. So yeah, really hoping, really pushing for this movie. Tell me what you think about it down in the comments. Do you want to serve this movie? Do you want this movie to succeed? Especially since it could really very much lead to a Shrek 5. So if you want to see a Shrek 5, go watch this movie. I heard a great word of mouth about it. And if you have, to what do you think about it on the comments? I'm very curious. I really want to hear more people's thoughts. And beyond that, just please make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this video or if you found it informative. It really helps out videos, so please leave a like and subscribe for lower content. I will be making another video about the box office for Avatar on the second weekend and how it literally just crossed $1 billion as I was recording this video. So yeah, I'm making a whole other video about that, so subscribe for all that content. And yeah, that'll be it for this video. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and this is Entertainment out.